So September 4th and October 16th, there's way more than a stretch of 4 business days in there. So it appears, based on your reporting, that Alt 5 Sigma violated the SEC rules. How serious is that violation?
They very well may have violated. I spoke to several experts there, talked to a couple of professors, as well as somebody who also used to work with the SEC. And one of the things I asked is like, can you come up with any sort of scenario where it would be okay for them to do this sort of thing? And the answer was, yeah, I didn't get anything back. It was this needed to be put forward. So, whether the SEC is going to investigate, who knows? Whether it would investigate in normal times, don't know. But of course, the SEC is currently overseen by a guy named Paul Atkins, who is an appointee of Donald Trump's, who is a business partner with Alt 5 Sigma. So, not really sure what, if anything, will happen with this.
And so it's unclear if the SEC will investigate. Has Alt 5 Sigma responded to you at all when you've reached out for comment?
So we reached out, did not get a real explanation there at all as to what the reasons were for the suspension or how long the special investigation might take. A World Liberty Financial attorney did tell us, though, that the CEO remains an Alt 5 Sigma employee and he's still on the board. So the suspension, it sounds like it's still ongoing. They did not reach any sort of decision to terminate him. If that's what they end up deciding to do, it hasn't happened yet. Alt 5 Sigma spokesperson, meanwhile, said that the board special committee is investigating, among other matters, the Rwanda thing that we just talked about. But they didn't say if that had anything to do with why the CEO or chief revenue officer were placed on leave.
So, CEO, Chief Revenue Officer, both placed on leave. I mean, how is this staffing shakeup impacting Alt 5 Sigma, if at all?
It's tough to say. The stock had been in free fall really ever since it had announced this deal with the Trumps. That has continued. Last I checked, it was down about 80%. I think when we first reported this, it was down around 70% or so. It's a real discrepancy there between the value. Like it's holding about $1 billion worth of this World Liberty Financial coin, but the company's market cap is only 200 million and change. So it's only worth about 1/4 the market price of those tokens it's holding, which is telling you the market doesn't really think all that much of its business strategy right now. So, it's really tough to pinpoint any sort of rationale as to the stock price. In fact, I think it went up after we reported this. So, who knows?
And then when you're looking at Alt 5 Sigma's relationship with World Liberty Financial, which we know is the crypto venture associated with the Trump family, does this staffing shakeup impact that at all?
Well, there is a lot of overlap there. Not only does Alt 5 Sigma have what's now about $1 billion worth of the World Liberty Financial token, but it's the chairperson of Alt 5 Sigma's board is Zach Witkoff, who is one of the founders of World Liberty Financial. Another guy named Zach Folkman, who is another co-founder of World Liberty, is also a board of director. And then Eric Trump, who also is a co-founder of World Liberty Financial, is an observer on the board. So you've got that overlap there. And then meanwhile, you've got World Liberty Financial, as part of this deal, owns 100 million shares of Alt 5 Sigmas. Part of the deal was that Alt 5 Sigma, when it acquired what at the time was $1.5 billion worth of tokens, it's $750 million worth of that tokens it got in a stock swap with World Liberty. The rest of it sold more stock and used that to buy it. So these two companies are really intertwined here in terms of just ownership and management structure.